Greetings everyone, my name is Tony Holowitz and I want to thank you for being here for this tutorial. And I'm basing this tutorial off something that I was asked about in regards to Act, and that comes down to automation. So I've always been fascinated by Act users in general that talk about automation. And the reason I find it interesting is this. In order to be automated, you need to have organization occur first. So in other words, when I look at your Act database, if you do not know who is in that database, if you cannot define or have an understanding of what's in there, then it's very hard to automate. Now, could we automate? Absolutely. Could we do it poorly? Absolutely. But the stronger your data is, the more organized your data is, the more you understand your data, then it's easier to do automation. So just as an example of that, when you're working in Act, this is an example workflow in Act CRM, Marketing Automation, AMA. So in AMA, they have tools like this that you can use. So for example, all campaigns in email marketing have a start and an end. But in this simple example, when an email goes out, it will wait a day and a decision is made. If it is not opened, okay, and it's a no, not open, a second email is sent. Then another day is held or paused, and then a decision is made. And what happens next is if that person did not open email 1 or 2 or I'm sorry, let me restate that. If this person did not open email 1 or email 2, you can design it so a third email is sent. If something occurs, you can have an action occur if they did open it. And ultimately, once they open it, there's really no need to send that email. So automation is such that you can really design this in such a way that the workflow does what you want it to do. But my question is, sometimes I think from an organizational point of view, it's easier just to start with a simple email, one email, look at some of the statistics and understand what happened and make decisions from there. I think sometimes when you get into this workflow, it can be really hard to sort of remember what you've got going on out there, especially if you have different campaigns and different contacts within that. And I think sometimes we lose touch with who our contacts are. And I've always sort of believed in a personalized approach, getting a better feel for those contacts. Another way to look at this is this. If you have a database with 500 contacts, I got to be honest, that's not that many. And you might find that you can spend the time to get to know them on more of an individual basis. If you have 50,000 contacts, yeah, I could see how this workflow might make a little more sense because it's so time consuming. And frankly, on a practical level, you probably don't have the ability to stay in touch with all those contacts. So you need a greater workflow. So when I talk about automation, when I have people ask me about that, I don't think there's a clear-cut decision to be made here. Can you use some of these tools and the automation, some of the actions, some of the decisions to really do some interesting things for you? Absolutely, I think you can. But that's where a little bit of creativity and imagination comes in and understanding your end goal and what was the purpose of that email. Was the purpose of that email just to touch someone and let them know you exist? Was the purpose for you to understand whether they even exist and they opened your email? So there's all kinds of ways you can interpret this, and that's why I find this so intriguing. Okay, my friends, I just want to get that out there. You have a great day. Thank you so very much for your time. Have a great one. Bye now.